Welcome everyone to another deck discussion with TheChiv's. I am TheChiv's. Today we're going to take a look at the NaxaFari mid-range hunter deck. This deck is really nice. It's probably one of the most popular decks I've seen in a long time on Hearthstone, and people just love it. Alright, so Curse of Naxxramas came out. We all played through it. We got a bunch of new cards, and a lot of us went and said, hey, let's see what we can do with this. This deck is no different, but this is probably one of the more successful decks I've seen that tried that. But the problem is, while everybody was kind of playing around and designing their decks, this, that, and the other, they were testing it out in unranked. Meanwhile, back on the ladder, it was Zoo City. Everybody was playing Zoo. So as people were finalizing their decks, they were instantly hitting Zoo walls. I'm not even kidding. I went and played ranked 8 Zoos in a row, followed by a Paladin, then 4 more Zoos, followed by a Mage, and then 6 more Zoos. I wish I was joking. I really do. So people got frustrated. They're annoyed because we're sick and tired of Zoo. And this deck handles Zoo very nicely, because after all, what happens when you get a really pissed off hunter and you send him to the Zoo? He kills every animal there and slaps this deck so hard that, well, we just laugh at it now. Okay, so the deck handles a lot of other decks very nicely. It can go toe-to-toe with Miracle and win. It can go toe-to-toe with Shaman builds and win. Warrior, it can actually beat Warriors, and that's really nice. A couple decks will give you some issues, Priest, Paladin, Mage, but that should be expected. Druids, it's almost coin flippy, but again, you can't win them all. Alright, so we're going to do a card breakdown here and talk some of the strategy with these cards. Alright, Hunter's Mark. Single target removal. Normally we see 2. Here, this deck adopts a lot of principles from Paladins of options versus consistency, which it actually does work really nice in this. The deck creator, Tysonis, or Tysonis, however you pronounce that, has been doing a lot of changes in this, and a lot of cards that were one-offs, he's made 2-offs, and cards that were 2-offs, he's made 1-off, so it's been fluctuating back and forth. And the deck is very mutable, for depending on what you're seeing a lot of in the meta right there. And he has a really nice list that covers all that. I will be linking this deck and that description in my description. So, alright, tracking. There used to only be one of these. Unfortunately, when it comes to a card that goes 3 deep and pulls answers, you really want more consistency of getting that when you need it, rather than, oh, hey, yeah, this is nifty. So, yeah, definitely needed 2. This is probably one of the best changes he could have made. Timberwolf. We have not seen the Timberwolf in so freaking long. Not since they changed Unleash the Hound for the... I lost count. But it's been a while. Okay. Before we get to that one, Timberwolf was used a lot with Unleash the Hounds, and just for great effect. Well, you're actually going to be using that for similar effect here. Mostly, but you can use it in other ways, but probably you're really going to want to hold on to this because you only have one for Unleashed Hounds. Alright, Explosive Trap. This has been like the standard AoE for hunters for the longest time. Most hunters won't even play Explosive Shot because, well, I play that when I have Explosive Trap. It clears more. It's a secret. So it's really hard for your opponents to deal with that because it goes off on their turn. And this used to be a really great card, and I do mean used to be. Unfortunately, then came Nerubian Eggs. Yeah, now this card is a death trap. Okay? Do not throw the explosive trap out just to power your bow. That is, first of all, really bad playing. Second of all, will lead to utter disaster. So you got to be really smart when playing this. Okay, Freezing Trap. This is actually a great secret all around. It's a tempo loss for your opponent in 2 ways. One, the minion they just spent mana bringing out goes back to their hand and now costs 2 mana more. If they had any buffs on it, those buffs are gone. and that's great. So you can get a lot of value out of this card. All right, Haunted Creeper. This is one of the 2 NaxaFari cards that are in this deck. Haunted Creeper, it's a beast. Yes, it belongs in this deck. That alone, reason why it's here. But its Death Rattle is really nice. The summoning of 2 1/1s gives you always a board presence. And because it's a beast, it combos well with a lot of other things. Now, the downside here is the Spectral Spiders do not count as beasts whatsoever. So you're not going to be able to get any benefit, like say with Scavenging Hyena, off those guys. Sorry, it's just the way it happens. Alright, Ironbeak Owl. This is probably my favorite silence in the game. It's 2/1, which means you can get this off real cheaply in a lot of situations where you just need to remove that taunt and do a couple other things to win that game. You're going to use this in similar fashion here, or Nerubian Egg. That's going to be the main target you're probably going to want to use this guy on, because him busting that Nerubian Egg is just going to ruin your day. Alright, Scavenging Hyena. This guy has a lot of functionality in this deck. You could use him just in simple trades with your other minions and then grow him and kind of force them to take action. Or, and my personal favorite, using this guy in conjunction with Unleash the Hounds. What this ends up doing is making a super big hyena. And then, of course, this will lead to one of 2 things. Either A, you're going to smack the crap out of your opponent with him, or B, your opponent's going to use a hard removal. Using a hard removal on a 2-mana minion, really not that bad value. Really not at all. And if they're using it on this 2-drop, guess what? They won't have it for, say, the Highmane, the Makesna, the Oasis Snapjaw, or the Houndmasters, or anything that you've buffed up. So, that's really good. Starving Buzzard. Draw mechanic, draw mechanic, draw mechanic. We need draw mechanic as a hunter. The fact that we have tracking, but you're throwing crap away, kind of sucks. There's no flare in this deck, so you can't count on that. We're not using loot orders, not using novice engineers, no mission vendors, any of those gimmicks. So, Starving Buzzard, Unleash the Hounds, there you go. But do not be afraid of using it with, say, Haunted Creeper or any of the lower beasts, just to get, you know, some card draw. I mean, you are running 2 of them, so you can kind of get away with that. Alright, Eagle Horn Bow. This has been a staple of hunters, even though Blizzard has nerfed it, because, yes, mages need to be more powerful, apparently. I don't know. Actually, no. The truth is, the Hunter Mirror match basically boiled down to who got the bow first. It's a sad truth. With NaxaFari introducing new secrets, Blizzard really wants people to play those secrets. Yeah, one of them's probably going to get played more than the other one. Guaranteed. And that's Duplicate. But Avenge, I'm sorry, Blizzard, you're probably not going to see that much use out of it. Anywho, so yeah, they nerfed that. It only is affected by friendlies. You've got 4 secrets in this deck, 2 different ones. So you'll get a little bit of value out of that. Alright, Animal Companion. Animal Companion has been a staple in Hunters for a very long time, especially mid-range. But normally, in most decks, there's 2 ideal draw situations. Misha and Huffer. Just because it's 4 attack, and that's the important thing there. One's a taunt, can stop a lot of stuff in the early game, and the other is a direct attack for 4 damage. Okay, cool. But then you got Leok, and you were kind of always feeling like, oh, Jesus Christ. Well, not anymore. Because this runs Unleash the Hounds and a Timberwolf, you also get a Leok on the board as well. That's 3 damage each one of those little puppies is doing. That actually adds up, especially against Shaman. Oh my god, you could just rape a Shaman so badly because of that. So Leok actually does serve a very good purpose in this deck, and that's a great thing. So I like to see this card, rather than being 66% useful, now being 100% useful. Alright, Deadly Shot. Because Miracle Rogue still exists. Period, point blank. Gadget Sand must die whenever you possibly can. This hits Stealth Gadget Sand. End of discussion. Alright, Kill Command. Originally there was only one of these in the deck, but it's such a great card, just damage-wise, and really hunters, for as DPS as they were in WoW, really don't have that much spell damage that they can actually do. So Kill Command is really important here. Unleash the Hounds. This, again, Timberwolf, Leok, Starving Buzzard, those kind of things works great. You could also use it in conjunction with a Hunter's Mark to remove a target, knock out taunts, whatever. It's got so many uses that it's just a beautiful card. Alright, Houndmaster. This is kind of the core to the deck, and most mid-range decks these days, it seems. 4/3, 2/2, taunt, special effect. So you can turn pretty much anything at minimum into a 3/3 taunt. Not bad. In a pinch, you can use it on the Creeper, so now it becomes a 3/4 taunter. You could use it on Ironbeak Owl, becomes a 4/3 taunter. Scavenging Hyena, a 4/4 taunter that grows with each beast's death. Not bad value. Ideally, however, Oasis Snapjaw and Mixna. You're always going to want to get your Oasis Snapjaw out on the board, taunted up first, before the Mixna. And the reason I say this is the Black Bat exists. Alright. Speaking of Oasis Snapjaw, kind of plain Jane, really nothing overly great about it until you Houndmaster it, and that's why it's here. 4/9, way more difficult to deal with than a lot of other cards. So you get great value out of Houndmaster because of this guy. Stampede Kodo. This deck used to run 2. However, with more people running Nerubian Eggs, what you ended up getting is you popping the Nerubian Egg, and then now you have a 4/4 to deal with, plus the other minions. So dropping this down to 1, probably a smart play. But this card is really good for knocking out like those mid-game Argent Squires that they're setting up to play a Blood Knight the next turn. Really good for that. It's also great for killing a Mixna itself. Baron Rivendare, when that comes out, this will kill it as well. So this is really good card. Plus it kind of takes a dump all over Zoo. Alright, Mixna. Now, when we saw this card, everybody went, well, that's not really all that good. Kind of sucks. Okay, it still sucks. I'm not even going to lie. But when used in conjunction with the Houndmaster, it actually becomes a little bit more viable. Now, there are a lot of people who have like their own thoughts and opinions about Mixna itself. Some people feel like the only true way of getting any value out of Mixna is to play it with a Tundra Rhino in Hunter, Charge in Warrior or Warsong Commander, and things of that nature. That way you get instant value out of it. Well, I can see that in the Warrior play, because you could set that up really easily. Turn 8, Mixna with Charge, have a nice day. Problem is, in Hunter, playing a Tundra Rhino, it's not going to work for this. The moment a Tundra Rhino hits the board, your opponent is going to do one of two things. 1, silence the hell out of it, or 2, outright kill it. Because allowing you to go turn 6 Savannah Highmane, smacking me to the face, bad. And now with Mixna coming out and just smashing that, even worse. Savannah Highmane. Here you have probably one of the best cards hunters have ever gotten. Great 6/5 body, really annoying. Unless you silence it, its special ability Death Rattle is just going to cause so much havoc. Especially if you have a Scavenging Hyena on the board. So much value. Now, a couple things you need to always keep in mind. You're going to want to try to draw out silences on Oasis Snapjaw or hexes and polys on this. That way your Mixna can come in a little bit more safe. Scavenging or Savannah Highmane can come in a little bit more safe. If you can pull it with the Scavenging Hyena, that's even better, because that basically increases the likelihood that these guys will survive even more, thus ensuring your possible victory. Now, the most optimal hands you're pretty much going to be looking at in most scenarios is going to be like the eagle horn bow. You want that opening hand as often as possible. Next one, I would have to say the Haunted Creeper, just due to the fact that, hey, it's a good 2-drop. But the only downside to this is Wild Pyromancer and Smite Say Hi. That really just wrecks you. Priest in general can really screw your day up against this deck. Alright, now there are 2 decks that I'm going to talk about right now that really put a hurting on this deck. And it's a little difficult to play against them. First one is Mage. Mage have so much to the face spell power that they can launch at you that it's very hard to deal with. So against them, you're going to have to play things extremely aggressive. However, be careful. Arcane Explosion still is popping up, and Flame Strike still pops up. And the other thing is, most mages are not going to put more than 2 minions out on the board at a time, so you're probably never going to get full value out of a Unleash the Hounds. But if they get 3 or more on the board, go for it. Take it. Run it down their throat. Alright, the next one is Paladin. Paladin is kind of a pain for a lot of people, just due to the fact that Humiliation, or Humility actually, and Outdoor Peacekeeper. These 2 cards will basically negate a lot of your potential attack damage from minions. Your Savannah Highmane now becomes a 1/5 that breaks up into 2 1s. Your Houndmaster is now a 1/3. You know, you see where I'm getting with this. It literally pulls away your ability to burn them down. And that's really going to be needed against Paladins. Mostly because they have more resets than any other class. Lay on Hands, Holy Light, True Silver Champion, Guardian of Kings. They could just gain that life back so easily. It's disgusting. Most other classes are relatively easy or to mildly challenging to defeat. Against Rogue, definitely having a Deadly Shot in your opening hand, something you're going to want to keep just for possible miracle plays. Against Druid, you're going to want to go extremely aggressive, low drop stuff, getting your bow out, preparing for ramped up turn 4 or 5 plays. So you're probably going to want the Freezing Trap on that just to slow their tempo down and continue assaulting them. You'll eventually want to set up for the double kill command just to finish them off. To be perfectly honest with you. You're going to be able to burn just enough of them, but then you're going to hit that stall point, and the double kill command is going to help push you past that. Alright, Shaman. Oh, thank you, Shaman. Shaman have been doing a lot of experimenting lately, especially with Haunted Creepers, Nerubian Eggs, things of that nature. Nerubian Eggs, kind of an issue. Haunted Creepers, Feral Spirits, and all their totems make this deck's life easier. Alright, you'll get a huge burst value out of Unleash the Hounds, especially if you've got the Timberwolf. You'll just be able to burn them down. Shamans don't have any self-healing, so unless they're packing Earthen Rings, you could probably burn them before turn 8 rather consistently. So, opening hand for that, definitely. The bow, probably, yeah, bow, Haunted Creeper, and probably an Unleash the Hounds just to get it prepared and make sure you have the tool ready when you need it. Alright, now, a couple combinations. The Houndmaster, here are a couple places you're really going to want to try to focus it. Always first, Oasis Snapjaw. If you have the option between the Oasis Snapjaw and the Makesta, you always put it on the Houndmaster, on the Oasis. Reason this is, Black Knight, pull the Black Knight, makes it gets off scot-free. Now, in a pinch, you could also use the Savannah Highmane. I would only do this if you need to attack your opponent and finish them off. Like you need to do 10 damage, you have Savannah on the board, and you draw Houndmaster. That'll still leave you 2 mana, actually 2 to 3 mana or more, to use hero power and just kill them. But because Savannah Highmane is most likely going to get silenced. Putting a taunt on this is rather dangerous. So be wary. Scavenging Hyena, again, this is kind of to draw out the removals and take away tools that they would rather have from later on. Long as you remember those things right there, you should be okay. And really, that's, I think, the most important aspects of this deck. Like I said, it handles Zoo, it can handle Miracle, and it holds its own with a lot of decks. Breaks kind of even against Druid, but Mage, Priest, and Paladin are going to give you a little bit of heartburn. Priest, I've still yet to figure out how this deck is supposed to handle Priest, but if Priest is the hard counter for this deck, I'm okay with that. So, yeah. Anyway, this is the Chiv. If you liked the information that you saw in this video, please like and subscribe. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.